Hello students, now we shall look at module 4 in environmental studies. That's on environmental pollution. I am Professor Suresh Mane, working at Jiruba SAIL Institute of Technology, Karwar in Karnataka. The syllabus is something like this. Environmental pollution, sources, impact, corrective and preventive measures, relevant environmental acts, case studies, surface and groundwater pollution, noise pollution, air pollution, and also waste management and public health aspects like biomedical waste, solid waste, hazardous waste, e-waste, industrial and municipal sludge. This is module 3, sorry, not module 4. So the key ideas are, we currently use more than half of the world's reliable runoff surface water and could be using 70 to 90% by 2025. Means almost whatever is there we will be using by 2025. 1 of every 6 people does not have regular access to adequate, safe and affordable supply of clean water, and this number could increase to at least 1 in 4 people by 2050. We can use water more sustainably by cutting water, raising water prices, preserving forests in water basins, and slowing population growth. Stream population in most developing countries is a serious and growing problem. Groundwater pollution is a serious and growing problem in parts of the world. We can reduce pollution of coastal waters near heavily populated areas by preventing and reducing the flow of pollution from the land and from streams emptying into the ocean. Just some case studies I would like to say. I think Bhopal gas tragedy you might have heard in 1984 in Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh, India. I think December night there was a leak of methyl isocyanate gas and more than 4,000 people died. And even today, a lot of people are suffering the after effects of that Bhopal gas tragedy. one of the great environmental pollution problem. That was a battery like Union Carbide factory. And secondly, I think you heard of Chernobyl nuclear accident in Russia. That being communist country at that point in time, they did not share all the information, but a lot of damage to life and property has taken place. So these are all grim reminders, that pollution can take lives. Now, if you look at this, this is a globe, and in that Middle East is there here. You can see many countries in the Middle East, with some of the world's largest, highest population growth, face water shortages and conflicts over access to water because they share water from three major river basins. So you can see here, Nile River is there. Okay, then this another two rivers are there on the top, and you have the Iran, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, Oman, UAE, Yemen, and of course bottom you have got African continent below this Red Sea. Yeah, Egypt. So they are having problems. Actually, Middle East water is expensive than petrol there. I think you may be aware. So that is why they know they have come out with ways and means to conserve water, and they are also into water. They are also into water desalination. So they convert the ocean salt water into potable water. If you look at this figure, the natural capital, the planet's water budget, only a tiny fraction by volume of the world's water supplies fresh water available for human use. You can see is all water 100%. In that ocean and saline lakes, saltwater lake, that is itself 97.4%. Fresh water is 2.6% only. And in that 2.6%, if you make a pie chart, you will find that groundwater is only 0.59 to 0.6%. And these ice caps and glaciers, they constitute almost 2%. And this available fresh water is only 0.014%. Okay, and that if you make a pie chart, you will see that soil moisture is there 0.005%, lakes 0.007%, biota 0.001%, rivers 0.0001%, and atmospheric water vapor 0.001%. So right side you can see that is accessible fresh water to us in the form of soil moisture, rivers, atmospheric water vapor as well as lakes. You might also be aware of that Exxon oil spill, especially this oil tankers when they are transporting crude by water, oil spills, that also affects the oceans and marine life. So this figure we will see the natural capital and groundwater system. You can see how the evaporation takes place. Precipitation takes place. You have lakes, and how it percolates down to the recharging the groundwater. So regarding groundwater, is a good source of drinking water and as well as irrigation. We use borewells, so to take out water. So that is borewell water used for drinking as well as for irrigation. It is available around the year, and most of the place it is there. It is renewable, like no evaporation losses. If surface water is there like lakes and rivers, lot of evaporation takes place, but groundwater there will be no evaporation, and cheaper to extract. But disadvantage is due to excessive over pumping, there will be depletion and the groundwater level will go down. Sometimes the land will sink when the water is removed if the land is soft. And in coastal areas like Karwar, Goa and all, this if you take a lot of water, then this saline water gets into this groundwater. That problems are there. And because of groundwater, there is reduced water flows to the streams, lakes, rivers. Like the salt water intrusion in the coastal areas, you can see right side you have got that ocean. Okay, salt water is there, it comes to the ground. But here you can see there is a interface. There is a dotted line and there is an interface. So if you take a lot of water, then when the water table is lowered, the normal interface, that is a dashed line between the fresh and saline water, moves inland, making groundwater drinking supplies unusable. So that is why you should be careful. Otherwise, there is a possibility of saltwater intrusion in coastal areas. So how to prevent groundwater depletion? So do not waste water. And water conservation methods should be subsidized. This is what a subsidy means, like water conservation. Like for example, I can give irrigation systems are there, drip irrigation systems. So suppose it costs 1 lakh rupees. So, but it saves a lot of money over its life. So it is subsidized by government. Instead of 1 lakh, you give 30,000, 40,000, take it. So that 70,000 is borne by the government. But ultimately, it ends up that a lot of water is conserved. So there should be some ban for new wells near surface water. And should not grow water intensive crops in the dry areas. And of course, population growth has to be controlled. And control is rise the prices of water. See, nowadays water is very cheap, especially when you for your drinking water, what you get in house, piped water. But you take water, drinking water bottles, they are very costly. Okay. So you can see here 3 methods of irrigation are given. Left side is the gravity flow. Center one is the drip irrigation with the efficiency of 90 to 96%, and the last right side is center pivot. So it is almost at 80% efficiency. Now you can see this. The gravity flow is only 60 to 80% efficiency, but a lot of water is consumed. So we should go for drip irrigation with high efficiency. Irrigation consumes a lot of water. In Goa there is some farming. In Karwar at least I have seen very little farming is there. These canals are there which convey water. No? There a lot of seepage takes place. So there should be lining. They put tiles and all, no? So that water doesn't seep. One good thing is that farmers, they do irrigation in the night. Night that sunlight will not be there, so water will not evaporate. If you do it in the morning during hot sun, so there will be some 5 to 10% of evaporation loss also. That can be avoided if you do the irrigation in the night time. Nowadays this IoT has come into picture, so using Internet of Things, you can have soil moisture sensors. Okay, and then watering can be done only when the moisture level goes down for a preset value. Organic farming has to be encouraged, where we do not use artificial pesticides and fertilizers. We use only organic pesticides. So we should also grow water efficient crops which use less water. And basically irrigation can be undertaken using urban water, retreated, recycled water. And any water intensive crops are there, meat and all, that you do not do it yourself, you can buy it. Water wastage should be reduced. Like I told, drip irrigation, water leakages should be stopped, increase the prices. And now people are talking about dry composting toilets. Even your house, when you are shaving, washing, brushing and all, you should use a mug, don't use a running tap. See, as an educated person, you are able to analyze and purify, recycle and reuse water. So now major categories of water pollution we'll see. And what are the infectious agents like bacteria, virus, protozoa, parasitic worms? Now from the left we'll see oxygen demanding waste. Organic waste such as animal manure, plant debris can be decomposed by aerobic, that is oxygen requiring bacteria. Aerobic means oxygen requiring, anaerobic means no oxygen is required. So when you put this sewage, animal feed, paper mills and this food processing facilities, they dump their discharge in the water. So this whatever is dumped into the water, like organic matter like sewage, animal feed, paper mill and processing plant facilities, they require this bacteria require lot of oxygen. Large population of bacteria decomposing these waste can degrade the water quality by depleting water of dissolved oxygen. Dissolved oxygen also known as DO. So because these industries, they send lot of this material, and to decompose these bacteria have to grow, and when bacteria start growing, then these bacteria take water oxygen from the water. So that is why then there is a quality of water decreases, and we can study that by a term called BOD, that is biological oxygen demand. There is one more COD, that is chemical oxygen demand. So like inorganic chemicals, that acids, compounds of toxic metals like lead, arsenic, selenium. So these are all salt. So this comes through the surface runoff or industrial effluents. The industry discharge is known as industry effluents, and this domestic and all is known as sewage. So you got two types of treatment plants. For industry effluents, you call it ETP, that is effluent treatment plant, and for sewage there is something called STP, that is sewage treatment plant. Then you have organic chemicals like oil, gasoline, plastics, pesticides, cleaning solvents, detergents. Whatever we use, this you can see, you use petrol, oil, plastics, you use pesticides, cleaning solvents, toilet, bathroom, clothes. They have a harmful effect. They can cause reproductive disorders, cancer. They harm fish and wildlife. And lastly there is thermal pollution also, like power plants and all. So because of this heat, hot water discharge into the like your Kaiga power plant is there. So again this that hot water, when it is discharged, this lowers the dissolved oxygen level. So oxygen water it has around 3 to 4% of dissolved oxygen, but that is get lowered. And when and this all is marine life now, fish and all, they depend on this dissolved oxygen. So if that reduced means they are vulnerable to diseases, parasites. So you can see here natural capital degradation in this picture. Na? Very nicely they are shown. Coal strip, pumping water, waste lagoon, all this groundwater, confined aquifer, discharge. So a lot of pesticides, fertilizers, gasoline station. So how the groundwater gets contaminated, that has been depicted in this picture very clearly. So groundwater pollution. See nowadays, I think you are aware already. South Africa first place to become dry. So next future um, threat or to mankind is water. That is why I am discussing this in detail. Uh, because water is a very important resource and we have not understood the importance. Of late, people are appreciating and understanding that. So as I discussed, we should keep the chemicals as little as possible. And do not dump hazardous waste in the landfills or near the wells. And you should also do some cleanup by inorganic compounds, not organic. So you should use cheap and easiest method for cleaning up the water. So let us look at this natural capital degradation. Residential areas, factories, farms, that is agriculture, all contribute to the pollution of coastal waters and bays. You can see at industry they'll have nitrogen oxides from auto rickshaw and smokestacks, that is chimney, toxic chemicals, heavy metals. Cities also a lot of toxic metal. They add nitrogen and phosphorus. Urban also you can find bacteria and viruses from the septic tanks and sewers. Construction sites, farms, like pesticides, whatever they use, runoff of pesticides, manure, like fertilizers, add toxins and excess nitrogen and phosphorus. Then toxic sediments like chemicals and toxic metals contaminate shellfish beds, kill spawning fish and accumulate into the tissues of bottom feeders. So these all pollutants, now these fish also they eat, they get contaminated. And to reduce this coastal water pollution, we should reduce the input of toxic pollutants, separate sewage and storm lines, ban dumping of waste and sewage by maritime and cruise ships in the coastal waters, ban ocean dumping of sludge and hazardous dredged material. Basically, ocean and this air have become a dumping grounds now. Whatever we want, we dump it in air or water. Then regulate coastal development, that government is doing now. Recycle used oil, use double hulls for oil tankers for safety. In the cleanup, you should improve the oil spill cleanup capabilities. As I told that Exxon oil spill, so there is chances that oil will spill and come to the coast. So you need to have some oil cleanup capabilities, and there is some nanotechnology technologies coming up, so that it can dissolve the oil or sewage without creating harmful byproducts. That technology is under development, and there should be some treatment facility in the coastal sewage के लिए. This is your toilet. I think you have seen your house now. There is toilet, septic tank they call it. Mm. Then how it is discharged? So this toilets and all, yes, shown the house is shown with bathroom and toilet. That comes to the septic tank with a manhole, means man can enter inside for cleaning. Then it comes through a pipe. Then there is a distribution box. So you will have gravel or crushed stone. Three pits are there. One pit is gravel or crushed stone. Second is a drained field, and the last you can see the vent pipe, so that the gas, whatever gas is formed, that is sent out to the atmosphere. So this I just wanted to show how this treatment of water takes place. Sewage. Sewage, again I'll repeat, it is domestic waste or city waste, not industry waste. So here you can see, I have seen this sewage treatment plant in Bangalore, huge sewage treatment plants in Bangalore. That principle is very nicely explained here. So first you can see left, coming to the left, the water comes inside. There is bar screen, means steel bars are used. Lot of water is entering. So all these plastic bottles, polythene bags, and this all material that will be stopped by the bar screen first. Okay. So from the left water is entering. There are two types of treatment. One is primary and second is secondary. Primary you have a bar skin, so that all the water, physical impurities, chappals, cloth, fabric, all those things, they are taken away in bar screen. Then it comes to a grit chamber, where you have got grit. So what happens when the water enters, the heavy particles, they will settle down in the grit chamber. And only the surface water, please see the sketch properly, only the top water goes forward, the sludge goes down only. And there is again a settling tanks, not one tank, there will be many tanks, settling tanks. So in settling tanks what happens, again you see the top water only goes out further, but whatever this sediments are there, heavy particles, they will settle down bottom, and they form like sludge. You can see the bottom sludge. So there is sludge, and there is a sludge digester also. Then from the sludge settling tank it comes, this is the primary bar section, bar screen, grit chamber and settling tank. This is the primary. Then secondary you have got aeration tank. Aeration means what they do? Aeration is nothing but simple process where they spray this water into the air. So as I was telling, 3 to 4% of dissolved oxygen is there in water. So that is taken away by these microorganisms, bacteria and all, to decompose that. So the oxygen demand will increase. That is why this aeration, this water is sprayed. So water, when it goes to the air, mixes with air. So water will take away the oxygen from the air and improve its oxygen content. This is another aeration tank. Sprinkling of water was. Then after that, again it comes to a settling tank. Here also in the settling tank you have got a like a conical bottom, so that the sludge is taken, and both the sludge from primary and secondary settling tanks, it comes to the sludge digester, and then there are sludge drying beds. So it is thrown outside, so that it is dried under the sun. Water is removed, and this sludge is used as a manure. And lastly, this still microorganisms are there. What they do, they kill the bacteria by using chlorine. And this water, treated water, can be sent to the river, lake, ocean, or even can be used for irrigation purpose. But this is not used for potable purpose. It is used for irrigation and your lawn, bathroom, toilets and all. It is used. So now let us say this is all about water. Now we will go through air pollution. Now see, what are the being engineers and having studied chemistry and all subject, let us see what are the pollutants in a house. Now we use chlorine water, okay, so that causes cancer. See, very nice, simple it is. Everybody uses chlorine water, whatever municipal supply water is there. If you have got an own well, then there is no chlorine. You don't, if you are not adding. Then trichloroethane. Then aerosol sprays. You spray, you are so much fond of body spray. What you call? What do they call your that spray they put? Deo spray. They are also very dangerous. They affect your breathing. Then you have nitrogen oxides, like I told you, vehicle exhaust, even petrol, this kerosene tank, kerosene stoves, and wood stove. No, they give nitrogen oxides. They irritate the lungs, and children get cold and headaches. Then uh, particulate matters like pollen for animals, no, pollen pet. So they also affect lungs and cause asthma. And you use room freshener balls and what odonil and all those things, no? Naphthalene balls. Mm. So the air fresheners, mothballs, they also cause cancer. Then you can see tetrachloroethylene, dry cleaning fluid fumes on clothes. So they cause nerve disorders, damage to liver, kidneys, and even possibly cancer. Then formaldehyde, like furniture, then particular board, foam insulation, whatever you are using, puff insulation, what you call. Particle board is what you use for the table, chairs, no? Ready-made, what you buy. So they irritate eyes, throat, skin, lungs. Then styrene, your carpets and plastic products, they affect your kidney and damage the liver. Then tobacco smokes, that can cause lung cancer. And radon, we have discussed about radon. No? Radon is a radioactive material. It can cause lung cancer.